They say 95% of traders are unsuccessful, but let's be honest, 95% of people suck, quite frankly. 95% of people are NPCs. If you're listening to this podcast, your listeners listening to this podcast, they're doing the right thing because they're thinking about it. They're going to remember some of the things from this podcast, but how many people even listen to a podcast? And that goes for pretty much everything in life.
When you see names in the space who are selling bots and a lot of them are having a negative backlash, what is your thoughts when you see these kind of things and these guys are making a lot of money? Okay.
Let's see the results. Let me see the MyFXBook verified results and show me that you're willing to put $300,000 in the bot, $500,000 in the bot. One of the biggest robots on the market right now is charging $2,000 for the robot, and they have deposited $1,000 in their live account they are using to sell it. If that is not a red flag, I don't know what is. I know a lot of traders are ego, and we talked about that a bit, and it's like everything I know is best. I don't want to be that guy. Like, I've seen people trade some of the dumbest strategies and just triple accounts, and I just don't get it, but it's like, who am I to say that that's wrong?
So now when you're 15 years in, you've gone from probably the similar journey to everyone, which is one account, one strategy, and now 15 accounts, multiple strategies and so forth. That journey along the way, what would you say the major lessons were 15 years in?
It's definitely a lot of...
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I'm joined by a gentleman from the area, from Canada, from Toronto, not far from where I'm staying. And, well, Patrick, thank you for joining me. I would like to give you the opportunity to just explain very briefly who you are. I've got some sound bites and snippets that I know you're the bot guy, let's say. You've been in the space for 15 years. Your age surprised me because I would have never imagined. But first of all, thank you for coming on. And yeah, if you can give a brief explanation of who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for having me today. Like, I've been watching your podcast for the past week.
Oh, no way. Okay.
I like what you do. I think it's fantastic. I think that it's awesome that you ask good questions and that you're just in here as a trader doing it the right way. So for me, I am the robot guy. I've been doing robots for 15 years. I've been in the market for 16, 17 years, but I like to say 15 years. It's a round number. And if you look at my website, Forex Robot Nation, I started it 15 years ago. So you could actually go to the domain tools and see that I've been doing it for 15 years. You could go into the way back and you could see I've been writing these articles. I've actually been here. I'm OG'd. Yes, I may look young. I'll take it, okay? But I'm old, I've been doing it, and I do it very differently because I come from that algorithmic background. That doesn't mean that manual trading is bad. I do tons of manual trading now, but I do it a lot of the time with a team, and I think that's really important. I think people are very high ego. They don't want to say they have a team. I have a team. I have a lot of guys. They help me with everything.
Well, I think it's going to be a fascinating episode because I don't think I've ever had a conversation with someone that's so deep into AI bot trading. And I do believe there's a lot of stigma attached to the word bot trading. And I think there's a lot of negative connotations. The reason being is because the first thing that comes to my mind is if the bot was so good, I would sell it to Goldman for $100 million and make more money than just trading myself. So that's number one stigma. And the other stigma is why do people sell it? And I think because a lot of people have probably bought them. I've bought one in the past. I think everybody at least thinks about it or goes ahead and buys it. And usually it works in the short term. And then after a couple of weeks, the equity curve goes down. So I think just because of these reasons, I have just been like, bots. I learn myself and I learn to trade myself. And I think a lot of people are on that side of the fence. What would your argument be to them, and what inspired you to even get into it, knowing these certain things?
Well, it was huge, right? Like I said, 17 years ago, there was more interest in Forex robots than there just was in Forex trading. It was huge. Okay. It was like, it was an affiliate boom. I made a lot of money at the time, and then after that, I got a lot more serious. But as for the issues with robots, I get it, but those people are selling the robot as the set and forget, which is bullshit, right? You can't set and forget. You have to be involved in the process. What I'm doing with my robot is I'm scalping, and I'm scalping only ranging market conditions that are consistent and that are recent. So I don't even back test 3 years, 5 years. I'm scalping 15-minute time frame, 5-minute time frame, and I'm looking for even bad risk reward ratios. Sometimes I'm taking profit 5 pips, I could lose 50 pips, but I'm winning over 90% of my trades, and I can do that. I could take a $50,000 account, make that into $100,000, and I've done this over and over and over again by monitoring the markets, making sure that this 1 hour a day that I'm trading, it's ranging and it works, and I've made millions like this.
Okay. So when it comes to the bot space, I don't know too much about it, but I know there's certain strategies like a martingale and these ones that have kind of like a large stop loss or open stop loss. So there might be a very high strike rate, but the floating equity might not look the best until they come back to a TP. And I think that's why a lot of them collapse, because you're getting wins, but the floating drawdown gets bigger and bigger until the margin call happens. And that was the experience I had with the first bot that I was involved with. So you're actually adding a discretionary approach or a manual approach to the
always
bot. So
discretion in all my trading. Discretion is everything in all my trading.
So what is it that you could probably do your full trading manually? What is it that you like in the bot? What can the bot do for you that you would rather it's automated rather than doing it manually?
It's hard to say now because I really do love manual trading now, right? Like it started with robots and then slowly went into manual trading. But then again, with the manual trading, I still have a full team, right? It's not just me. So I have multiple analysts. I have a fundamental guy. I have technical guy. And then we have a chat. And I put my trade idea in. They put their trade ideas in. We have conversations. And I'm sure you'd be happy to hear it that one of those guys is an ICT guy. He's an SMC guy. We fight all the time. But sometimes he's right. Yeah. Sometimes I'm wrong. But I think that having those two opinions, and that's in my trading room as well, is what gets us over the top. Because I'm not always going to be right. He's not always going to be right. I'm older, right? So I'm humbled. I've lost hundreds of thousands. I've made millions, but I've lost hundreds of thousands of dollars in this market. I am humbled. I'm not always right. If I'm on a cold streak, I'll step back. They can go forward.
On this, I've got an exact question because a lot of people take trading as a lone wolf sport because they usually are in their hometown. And usually they're high school friends when usually people when starts. High school, university is the main age group that people start into Forex. And a lot of their friends are not doing it. So you have no one to share the experience with. You have no one to go through the journey with. So you kind of just do it yourself and maybe look to online. And that's kind of what I did. And long story short, the two guys that I've ended up trading with or alongside, we started at the same points and we grew together for the last 7-8 years. I was in Spain at the time, the other one was in the US, and the other one was in the UK. So it was online friendships that birthed into more. But the idea was that we were very aligned in our approach in terms of confluences. We liked the same things, market structure, liquidity, these kind of things. We all agreed on them. But in the beginning days, we were not aligned. So I would have an opinion and they would have an opinion. And maybe on certain days, we would take the same trade. On other days, I'd be like, oh, I'm not fancying that one. And he would take it. Other days, vice versa. And if he was right, I was wrong. It didn't matter. We were a team to just bounce ideas off. But we one time did try, like, let's load up an account as a 3. And let's trade it together, and we can all take trades as we want. We all have the logins and we take trades as we want. And it just didn't work. It's because sometimes we would overlap on positions, sometimes we would disagree on positions, and from then I was like, I just want to trade by myself. I don't want external thoughts or opinions because it clouds my judgment, or I just don't agree, and then I don't know what's the decision to be made. And there are certain trades now we have which are modeled where it's more objective and it's a checklist. So we've given them names like we have certain prime setups, and those things will be fully agreed upon. There will never be an element of discretion because it's an objective list. But then there are other trade types that are open to more, let's say, if it's my first trade of the month, or I'm going through a losing period, we stick to these prime setups that are modeled out. If we're doing okay, it's the middle of the month, we're up we're up, then we can start to take other types of trades. Those other types of trades, they're completely valid, but they don't have the same modeled data, but I'll still take them. And those are where we have disagreements. And certain days with Alex, that's looking a bit sketchy. He's like, no, it's going to work, and vice versa. How is it like trading as a group where you have multiple voices, multiple opinions, and maybe even disagreements, and then what's the outcome? What's the decision to be made?
Well, someone still has to be king. Okay. There's still someone steering the ship. That's me. Okay. I'm sorry, Joe. I'm sorry, Vipul. All right. Don't attack me for this. I love these guys. I'm loyal to these guys. I'm loyal to my entire community. Absolutely. But I'm very loyal to these guys. And it's just, if I disagree with the trade and I say we're not taking the trade, then we don't take the trade. The other day, we went on a 10-win streak on gold, right? Fantastic. We had a hypothesis. It was very basic, right? War means gold is going higher, right? People think this all the time. The thing is, the perception of that is enough, right? That's going to bring buyers into the market. They're going to think, okay, let's jump on the bandwagon. Let's hit these gold trades. So that's what we wanted to do. So I said, guys, we're only buys only. So I'm waking up. Sometimes they're sending these trades in London. I'm not even awake yet. We win. Nice. It's copy traded right into my account. Nice profits, easy for me.
Okay.
Now, what happens at the end of the winning streak, right? We have a sell trade, right? And then they did that when I was asleep, and I was pretty pissed off, right? Because I said we're buys only. If we look at the 4-hour chart right now, 80 of the last 100 candles have been bullish. So at that point, all you're doing is waiting for one bearish candle. That's your pullback. Let's enter, right? The odds are so in your favor on a market like that. And this is the first time I've traded gold this year. So I'm just looking for asset classes right now that are going in one direction. Can I get onto a long trend and wait for easy pullbacks into my supply and demand zone, into support and resistance, or sometimes into the fair value gap? Shout out to ICT. But the fair value gap is something that he did add to my trading game. I have to give him credit for that because a lot of the times I was in these high momentum markets. We're moving in one direction, right? We have the market structure. It's absolutely perfect. But what am I doing, right? I can't enter the trade. It's never coming back to the demand zone, never coming back. And then I said, okay, let's try these fair value gaps. It starts tapping in, shoots up, taps in, shoots up. So if the market is going in one direction really, really aggressively, the fair value gap is gold, and it's been gold on gold.
There we go. This is interesting to me. So you have given your team autonomy to execute positions alongside you. So then it's like almost like a fund, where it's, you have a pot of cash and it's, everyone's allocated a portion and everyone can trade it. And it's a P&L as a cumulative of everyone. And what is the bot's job, let's say? What is the bot doing in this?
The robot would be outside of that. So my system, Forex Fury, that'll be on 15 trading accounts. And what I do at the beginning of the month, I look at recent price data, right? Recent price data, only the last few months, and I'm looking for ranging market conditions. And then I want to set the robot to trade those conditions. And like I told you, the robot is going to have bad risk reward, right? You talk about those floating positions. That is part of the strategy. Sometimes you have to plug your nose, but I've been doing it for so long that I trust that. And in my manual trading, to shift over there, because I know you like talking risk reward all the time, I'm a 1-to-1, 1-to-2, sometimes 1-to-3 guy. I like to win, right? That's the trading psychology. I don't know, like I'm an emotional guy, right? You're probably getting it right now on camera, right? I'm yelling in the mic too much, but I have to win. I can't, I tried the 1-to-6. I tried the 1-to-7. I've seen some of your Instagram stories. It looks beautiful. I'd love to trade that way, but I have tried it. And it's loss, win. You're still up, but it's just like I don't like seeing losses every day.
What is your manual win rate? Manual trading win rate. Where do you like to keep it at?
I just anything over 50%.
Okay. And have you found that there's a correlation between higher win rates and higher risk reward and lower win rates?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. So like if I'm doing 1-to-1s, I'm winning much more. And I like that feeling. I like to wake up, see wins, treat my family well, right? Hug my daughter, not be in a bad mood, not take it out on the dog. I need 3 wins in a row. I need 4 wins in a row, or else I get pissed.
That's fine, because a lot of people are like using trading psychology and the methods we hear online as ways to deal with the emotion or cope. And a lot of them I disagree with, because a lot of it is escapism, in the sense of I've taken a bunch of losses, let me go to the gym. Or I've taken a bunch of losses, let me journal it. I was like, okay, journaling is a little bit better, but a lot of them are just, let's say, distractions and not addressing the issue. And if we are feeling a negative emotion upon losses, and those losses are valid losses, part of the plan, well, we should be a little bit detached to that. So I think trading psychology is a whole journey. And another thing is we are human. We're not robots.
Absolutely.
So we can't remove emotion, we can't escape from emotion, rather we should deal with emotions. And there's a whole approach and something we could discuss, but it seems like you've taken the approach of let's not try and deal with it, so let's just optimize for not having that problem in the first place.
Let's win. Let's win.
Do you feel like there's a trade-off? Because what I found is, no, you're scalping. Manual trading is more scalping too.
My manual trading will be day trading and swing trading. My robot will be scalping for sure. Okay,
so let's say you've taken a more day trading or even swing position, and you're holding it for let's say a week.
Sure.
That trade could be quite a big TP level could be quite far away. You're trading a H4 trend, let's say. So that impulse could be a large impulse. Does that mean your stop loss is like, well, if you're taking 100 pip gain or 200 pip gain, how big would your stop loss be?
Yeah, be the same, right? It'd be below the swing low. It's just
okay. Yeah.
It's just if I'm doing 1-to-1s, I'm doing 1-to-2s. That's what I'm doing, right? Like I'm not going to adjust that even on a swing trade. It's going to have a lot of breathing room. It may dip into drawdown and then come back up and win the trade. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
I see this a lot now. This is kind of a newer thing. Like when I was early in Forex, right? We're 15 years deep now. In my first 10 years, I did not see guys running 110s. Okay. 111s.
Yeah, there's been a shift, and that's probably a lot to do with ICT, I think. And I think he has a lot of good concepts, and I think there's a lot of validity in what he says. But I think a lot of people apply it all wrong and mix match it. And what I've said previously is like, how can you have a guy that's an ICT trader who's buying EU, and on the same day, that same ICT trader is selling EU? That confusion is there in the industry, but over hundreds of thousands of people, that's natural. But when it comes to your lower risk-reward, high win rate approach, the stop loss that you're giving yourself, it sounds like it's a more breathing room, allow the trade to play, maybe goes into drawdown and then come back. Eventually it should come back if it's pro trend, which I do get. So you're not using stop loss as an invalidation in the sense of when I'm taking a stop loss, it's like I have a thesis that price should reverse from here at pretty soon, in the next hour at maximum, usually in the next 15 minutes because I'm doing more intra-session. So I know that if price dips to my stop loss, my thesis and the reasons I entered is wrong. So I don't really take the breathing room approach. I was like, I'll just re-enter. I took the loss, but I'll re-enter again. Whereas you're taking I'll enter once, I'll allow it to play, even if my first idea didn't play out. There's room for the trend to
Well, that
manifest.
depends, right? That's the swing trade strategy. When I'm day trading, which I day trade as well, then it is more a quick invalidation, right? Okay. My demand zone didn't hold. The supply didn't hold. Okay. My support or resistance isn't overlapping properly, and there's not enough volume there. Yes. Sometimes I'll just manual exit, right? Okay, if it's a demand zone entry, I want to have a big push out of that entry. I want to be into the trade hard. If I don't get it, sometimes I'll just cancel it, and that just depends also on the type of order that I'm using, right? Okay. I'll use a lot of buy stops, so the price will come down to the demand zone, and then I want to see the price come out of the zone, and then I'm entering on the way out, hopefully on a big candle.
Got it. Okay, so now it seems like because you have so many accounts going, and that's something I don't do too much because I get overwhelmed.
Sure.
With so many accounts going, and also approaches where you have the team one, then you have the bots one, then you have the swing one, and then the intraday one, and all of them have different rule sets. Yeah. Where one is like I can leave it as a 1-to-1 large stop loss. The other one could be a bit more manual, discretionary entry and exits. The other one is just invalidation zone. How do you keep on top of all of that?
Well, it's like when I come to a podcast or something like this, everything's off, right? Okay. So all the robots, I've turned them off. I don't want to think about it. Okay. I don't want to look at my phone and be like, I won or I lost. And that is crazy because people will say they're robots. Aren't you supposed to leave them on? Yeah. But it's not set and forget. Okay. I'm not set and forget trader. Sure, my analysts can take some trades. You know, we lost one this morning. It sucks. We lost one Friday. It was an ICT argument. He beat me in the argument, and we lost the trade. The trade was amazing, but price kept coming back to support, right? It kept coming back to support on EG, and I'm like, okay, let's see what you're going to do with this trade. But what did he do? He kind of had his stop loss near that support, which is strange, right? Because it's a key level, but this is an ICT concept sometimes, you know? They're like, let's see if the price comes down and takes liquidity or whatever, right? And so what happens? Price tapped the support, came a little bit lower, right? Knocked us out of the trade, and then it shot up like 50 pips. It would have hit us 3%. So there was an argument there. I did lose at that time, and ICT screwed me. Yeah. ICT screws me sometimes. He screws a lot of people sometimes.
I mean, there we go. I think that boils down to people maybe not having a predefined plan, and that's something I'm a big advocate of, and usually this is what I do with almost every guest. What I mean by the word predefined plan is we can all have concepts, and we just have to type it on YouTube, we'll find concepts. Whether it's ICT, support resistance, Fibonacci, there's 1,000,001 approaches. Right. You can go deep into Elliott Wave and indicators. The issue is never knowledge. The issue is never concepts. The issue is never confluences. There's never an issue of how can I view the market. There's a plethora of information. The issue always becomes the differential between a profitable and non-profitable trader is not a knowledge gap. It's an application gap. It's what's your checklist, what's your plan, what's your data, and how do you define your strategy? Because if I wake up and I've got a bit of ICT in my head and a bit of Elliott Wave in my head, and I wake up and I take a trade some days on Asia, some days in New York, some days on GJ, some days on CAD JPY, sometime I'm doing this and that. Like when I have randomness is because I just, in the archive of my mind, I'm like, oh, I learned this. Let me throw it and see what sticks. And the next day I was like, oh, this looks like the other thing I learned. Let me throw that and see what sticks. And that's where people go wrong, I think. That's where people are just trying to do everything and it leads to nothing. What would you say is your most prevalent predefined plan? I know you got a lot of accounts and ways, but does it boil down to a few common
There's one main thing, right? And this is what everyone should be doing, is looking at the higher time frame. So, okay, my entry is a demand entry or a support entry. It doesn't really matter. What matters is what the higher time frame's telling you, right? If the higher time frame is bullish, right? Like I said, if we have 80 candles that have been bullish out of the last 100 on the 4 hour, you should probably be bullish. And that actually makes up for a lot of the discretionary mistakes that I make, that my team makes, because we have a set plan on the higher time frame. So we're going into every single pair at the beginning of every week with a set bias. If we can't get a pullback to our zone on that pair, then we're just not taking the trade. You know, they say 95% of people are unsuccessful, right? 95% of traders are unsuccessful. But let's be honest, 95% of people suck, quite frankly. 95% of people are NPCs, right? I gamed for years. If you went into a lobby of Fortnite or Call of Duty or something, there'd be 150 people in there. Maybe 5 people in that room are actually good. And that goes for pretty much everything in life. Like, how many remarkable people do you really meet? And I'm not trying to be rude, because if you're listening to this podcast, your listeners listening to this podcast, they're doing the right thing because they're thinking about it. They're going to remember some of the things from this podcast. But how many people even listen to a podcast? How many people are even trying to make money? 95% of people are not trying to make money. They're watching Kim Kardashian, they're watching Love Island, and they're not going to make money. And so when you look at that number, 5%, it's really not that unattainable, given that 95% of the people out there are idiots. I just wanted to make sure that that's out there. TikTok clip that.
I think that number is misrepresentative or misleading, because the numbers there is from brokers or from prop firms that 95% of people lose. But let's look at it with a lens of reality, which is, who's the sample size? Oh, everyone? Oh, the guy that started to learn yesterday? And you can load up an account with $100. You could watch Baby Pips and you're a trader. That barrier to entry is so low, there's no qualification. So when you're entering the masses, there's a lot of probability and all of these things. Of course, you need a percentile of excellence to be profitable. The majority will just not be there because of time and effort and all these things. But just like anything in life, if I wanted to play in the Premier League or in the NBA, how many people want to do that? Well, every kid in high school probably at some point thought about it, but how many people make it to the NBA? But let's say you could play in the NBA as a high school student, because the barrier to entry is so low, just like in trading, the barrier to entry is so low. Well, yeah, then the 95% would fail. But if we put the lens of people that have been in the game for 10 years, who have done the correct things, whatever, I'm sure that number is not 95%, because no one's making it to year 10, if that's the case.
Exactly.
I want to touch now on the more specifics of the bots. So,
sure.
Number one, what is the purpose of the bot to you, and what do you like that it can do for you? And you're adding a discretionary approach to it.
Yeah.
So is it a case of the bot will give you a alert and you make a decision based on that, or it's a bot that will execute on your behalf as long as you give it the authority to?
Yeah, it will trade for me. So my discretion is just, again, like I kind of said before, that higher time frame trend over a long period of time. But what I'm really looking for is that ranging market, right? Because I'm scalping, if the price is ranging and I have a big stop loss, the price is just going to come back, right? It's going to come back. What I'm trying to avoid is a big trend, because if I have a huge stop loss and the trend goes against me, I'm screwed. So all I have to do is look at the recent data and go, what hour? And that's what I do. I go 1 hour. I'm only trading 1 hour a day. I let the robot trade 1 hour a day. I go, what hour on this one asset, this one pair, has been ranging for the past month, 2 months, or even just 2 weeks, right? It all depends on what the current data is telling me. And I have analysts that will actually email me the data and tell me, hey, this is a pair we want to target. This is a time that we want to target. And it may come down to even just 40 minutes or 30 minutes, but usually 1 hour because I want to have actual trading action.
So that 1 hour window is specified upon recent 2-3 weeks of price action.
Yep.
What data sets in the last 2-3 weeks are you highlighting to pick your 1 hour window?
Just visual, right? So I'm just looking at the market visually and I'm saying, okay, like the price has not been trending at all. It's stuck in a range.
Yes.
It's been stuck there for 2 weeks, or it's been stuck there for even just a week and a half. Let's hit it really hard. Let's put the lots up for the next week because I think it's going to stay within that range based on the higher time frame data.
Okay. And then the bot is, that's something you're doing visually yourself.
Yes.
And what is the bot doing?
The bot is going to pick out the pullbacks and enter the trades at the right times so that it does pick the direction correctly and I don't even have to wait for the range. The range is my discretionary way of saying, all right, I have millions of dollars invested in live accounts. Hey, you can check them out on the website. But I have those dollars invested. I want to make sure that my $50,000 account doesn't go against me for 3 weeks, right? I just want to win 10 in a row, 20 in a row, and then take a step back, take a look at that high time frame data again, and then figure out the next hour that I'm going to be trading, or the next pair and next hour I'm going to be trading.
Okay. So the bots is actually just doing the execution.
Absolutely.
In the final moments. Okay. And why have you chosen that to be the bot's decision and just not you? If it's down to an hour, it doesn't take away from your life. You could just be there for the hour and execute yourself. What do you like about having the bots to assist you?
I like the quick execution. You know, it's also nice, right? I do all of my day trades and I do all of my swing trades. And so it's nice that I have this one thing that gets to grow my accounts that is, you know, easy, you know, because we have talked about trading psychology and I do want to win. So to be outside of the process, even though I'm there in a discretionary way, I'm outside the process and I could just plug and play, collect my profits and come back the next day.
Okay, interesting. So there's a lot of things that you've done to make the environment better for your psychology, limiting your time, allowing a execution that's not you through the bot and all the things we mentioned, high win rate and such. But I'm also seeing areas where there's problems caused because of that for your psychology. Namely, let's say you have a very large stop loss to allow breathing room for a swing to play, which I understand, and a lot of people do that. But then sitting in drawdown for a week, I know myself, I would, in a moment's a rash decision, I'll exit. It's taking too long. Or when I used to swing trade, it was like I'd take an impulse, I'm up X amount, and then a healthy 50% retracement, and that retracement taking a week. That 1 week of seeing that number getting less and less and less, emotions come in and decisions can be, a wrong decision could be made. Meaning to say, like, there's other psychology problems that could arise. What have you found those have been for you? And what have you done to tackle them?
Well, I think that's when I lean on the team and the collaboration and also the 15 accounts and also all the other investments I'm doing, right? Because when you have as many investments as I do, I'm also big in the crypto space. I hit Bohm like 3 weeks ago. I don't know if you've heard about Bohm. It was a pre-market token. I put 1.7 thousand in. I made $800,000 in 48 hours. So that makes things a little easier. How did I hit that crypto project? The same, because I have people. I trust people. I'm always collaborating. So I've been in online for so long, not just trading. I'm also in crypto. My biggest trades have just been putting a couple $1 million in Bitcoin and then riding it up to right now and then riding from 2020. So those are the biggest trades. But when you have all of that, to bring it back, when you have all of those things, you don't care about one drawdown over here. You know, you just made 800 over here, or you have another trade over here, minus 5,000, another trade over here, up 20,000. And it just kind of like, you just got to get to the end of the month and go, what the hell did we get to?
Okay, interesting. As in, you've got, I was saying seemed like it's overwhelming, but for you, that's become a positive because you've got so many things going on. You're not really hyper-focused on one because there's offsets to it. And there's other wins that compound over the loss. Okay, that makes
sense. And the entrepreneurship helps with that as well. Obviously, I sell my services now. I didn't do that in the past. I was just a trader. I was a trader, right? And to be honest, over the last few years, now that I sell services heavily, I'm able to risk a little more. I'm able to say, hey, it's not my money, go in a little bit harder. And I know that's against your psychology, but I will go harder. I will go bigger on some trades. That latest gold run, I went crazy. My lots were nuts during that. It's just what it was, because we were winning every trade, and I was so confident that we were just going to keep pushing up. Everyone was saying gold and war, gold and war. And when everyone is saying it, guess what? You have no choice but to jump on. And that's not just retail, that's institutions too. Everyone jumped on. And that's happened with Bitcoin recently as well. We had the ETFs. Now we have the halving. People are starting to jump on. I don't know. We're at a bit of a resistance right now, but I'm hoping for $150,000, $300,000, finish paying for my mansion, and then I'm done.
Are you a big proponent of taking risk based on confidence of a setup? As in, you'll double down, triple down, scale up on a position that is seemingly better?
Yeah.
Why have you taken that approach as opposed to standardizing risk?
Because it's like I have standardized risk with my robots, right? So it's like we're in baskets. You know, the basket over here is my standardized risk. My basket over here is my day trades, where there's just a ton of discretion. And if I have a strong hypothesis, and it's a stronger hypothesis than the one I had a week before or 2 weeks before, I have to hit it then, because there are certain times during the market where you can take all your profit. I know some people say there's only 3 or 4 good trading days. I may have heard that in one of your podcasts. And there's truth to that. You can win all the time, but you can catch that one uptrend for 2 weeks straight, and you know it's happening because you have the fundamentals and the technicals behind it. Your whole team is on board with it. You just have to hit it hard, take your 30% that month, and then slow down, cut it back.
That kind of statement, with 15 years under the belt and a team around you and all of the things that you have, I can resonate with. I can understand how you've arrived at that conclusion. But to a newer trader that's maybe on month 6, that could be leading to like, oh, well, if I'm confident, let me double down on this. But confidence it's a feeling, where some people are confident based on data and years of experience. And that's confidence, essentially what I think will happen, and you're basically basing it on what you've seen previously. So your sample size of previously is a team and their years of experience and your years of experience, so your confidence can be higher based on a larger sample size of data, whereas their confidence is based on, I started 3 weeks ago, I saw this happening, but that's a small window, and that might have been at a time when the market is bearish, and it's a lens. What would you say to the newer trader, or what would you have said to your younger self, that now you're in this situation, but can that be applicable to a newer trader?
I don't know. I think it can be, honestly. That is a difficult question. You know, my videos, I make them for newer traders a lot of the time. That is the people looking for my videos. That's really the people looking for trading videos in general are those newer traders. And so what I try to do in my videos, I try to make it fun. You know, like I show the money that I'm actually making. I show that it's an enjoyable experience. And the whole point of that is to actually drive people into the trading market, because I don't believe that 95-5 split. I do believe that if I can bring some people into trading, and I bring the right people into trading, they are going to be successful, and they're going to have just a way better life. And that's even if you just start with paying for your Netflix subscription and you pay for a little gas. Next thing you know, you're at a party with Bieber or something. Who knows, right? But I do think it's important to get people in. I got lost there on your question.
Oh, as long as we're giving value, that's all that matters. How long did it take to develop a profitable bot system? I know it's not a set and forget, so there's always an element of you. But regardless, going from zero, and you were not a coder at the time, to then develop something that's usable, I think is no small feat. So what was that journey like?
That's a long journey. Right, so that's a journey of hundreds of thousands of dollars, right?
Okay.
And that's in development, in analysts, and in robots that I created that lost. And it's just like there's a big bunch of robots right over here that lost, and I did sell some of them, and they would work for a month or so, and then you would have to refund. And you just have to say, take your money back. The robot's not working. But the robot that I'm using right now, Forex Fury, I've been using this robot for 8 years. We're ranked number 1 on Benzinga, one of the top finance websites on the internet. That's for a reason. But it took a long time to get there.
When you see names in the space who are selling bots and AI, EA services, and a lot of them are having a negative backlash, and you're looking at the lens of I've been doing this for 15 years, and you probably see they started not too long ago, and usually they've bought the bots and then just they're the middleman for the bots. They didn't have their hand in the development. What is your opinions and thoughts when you see these kind of things, and these guys are making a lot of money in selling that?
Well, it sucks, right? You know, in one thing, it's nice because it does bring more eyeballs to me. You know, as the Forex robot guy, people are going to say, hey, well, that didn't work, but that doesn't mean robots all suck. Why don't I see what is ranked number one and try that out? But most of the robots that you get are actually robots you talked about before, right? You're talking about martingale, you're talking about grid. Right? I don't trade martingale or grid. I have the options within the robot. You can use them. I don't use them. I'm just looking to scalp. I'm looking to win and looking to move on.
Have you ever considered, after the hundreds of dollars spent and time and years and effort, to look to an institutional approach and look to sell it to bigger players?
No.
Why not?
No, I don't see that as an option. I don't think that they would come to me. Like, maybe they'll watch this podcast, but I have the proof. I could show them. Yeah. I could show them the live trading accounts, but I don't know, Goldman and Sachs isn't knocking on my door right now.
Of course, they're not coming to you, but if you have a track record and you say, look, my bot has been able to help me achieve this, but you're trading it with hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of dollars, but that to them is pocket money, and they'll say, let's load it up with 10, let's load it up with 50 and see where it goes, as long as you can show them data. As in, it's very easy to scale.
I could, but would they trust me? I don't know, you know, and it's not that I have imposter syndrome or something like that, but you know, I didn't go to Ivy League schools, you know. I'm the people's trader. I came from just playing video games, spending time on my computer, doing internet marketing. Over 10 years ago, I was ranking on Google for iPhone on the first page, and I was making hundreds of dollars an hour. I used an SEO robot, pumped my stuff up there, made a ton of money. It was my
robots as well. Okay, yeah.
It was my first taste, you know, but I've been in it, you know, but I'm not, you know, suit guy. I'm not going to go into a room with a bunch of people in suits and say the right thing and make the right connections. I'm hoping that I am with you today.
No, it doesn't have to be approach. Some people assume that. That's the reason I'm asking is like, okay, what's the next level from here? But for any trader, it's like, okay, if you're so good at trading, why are you not just working for a bank? And some people say, oh yeah, you could scale to larger cap and so forth, but there's way more, there's a lot of negatives to consider. Like, okay, now you got to have a job, you got to have a suit and tie, you got to go to an office.
No way.
And you got to, and also the bottom line, well, yeah, you might get a bonus at the end of the year, but you also got to, it's just it's a different world, and it's not necessarily the same bridge. And myself to my life path is not like make trading, find profitability, make some money, and then jump to a bank. That's neither my route either. And when you have investors' money, when you regulations, all these things, legals, there's so much more stress and pressure involved. And maybe I won't make hundreds of millions of dollars, but I can make the money I'm making, and that's enough for me, kind of thing.
That's enough for me.
And I don't think it has to always go to that extreme of the professional environment. I want to tap back onto the development phase, because how many years was it, would you say, from starting to something that's a workable model for you?
So I would have went through many different robots over many different years, right? So 15 years in, Forex Fury is now 8 years. So it would have taken me 7 years to get to that robot.
Wow. Okay,
and that means all of the other failed robots were all taken into consideration as a part of the next robot.
Of course, yes. It's versions of it. Okay, and that in the process of it, because it can very easily lose, instead of the hundreds of thousands you've spent or invested, it could have very easily been millions if you didn't have the right team, but also if your process was not good, in the sense of starting to test with live money too soon. And you probably had a process for that. So what was that development process? So you have from concept of, I think these ideas could work in a bot. So from concept to final product, what was that main stages along the way?
I don't know. It's hard to map that out. It is like you get the system, you demo trade it like crazy, you back test it a little bit. I'm not a big back test guy. I want to see live data, and that does get me there a little bit faster than I think other robot developers, even though they just like put it out on the market and they kind of let their clients test it, and then their clients will tell them things. And I do get that too. My clients will be like, hey, why don't you add a Bollinger Band or something? I'll say, I'll take a look. I'll throw it into the next version, and then it may work. It may not, but I'll throw it on a demo. I'll throw it on a live now. I'll just use smaller live accounts, and then I push into a bigger live account.
What do you need to see from the... well, you're not back testing it, so you have ideas, and then you're testing it in the markets. and then when you've got a certain data, you're like, okay, now I can take it to the next level, which is maybe a live account. How long do you give before, let's put some money on this after a demo environment?
At this point, like a month.
Okay.
Yeah, like I'm not taking that much time. Like I want to go live. I want to see what it actually does. If I'm being pitched a robot, I get pitched robots all the time. I'll take the pitch. I'll throw it on a live $10,000 account right away. Let's just see what happens, you know. And then if it works, maybe I've got something to sell. Most of the times it doesn't work, but it is worth putting the money into that and then seeing what that result could be.
And the actual complications of building the bots, it's a team that's doing it.
Yep.
Are they traders or just developers?
They're both.
Okay, and was that hard to find? More to say, because you mentioned
it wasn't that hard to find because I had the website, right? So I already had a community. It was Forex Robot Nation. I was just testing thousands of robots and reviewing them. And then you start to see people commenting. You get people emailing you, say, hey, like, I want to be involved in this. How do I get involved in this? Like, I'm a coder. I'm a trader. Like, what can we do? And then that's also how I found most of my analysts that I'm still using to this day was just like from the original community.
Okay. And do you allow external voices and ideas, or is it just your team's ideas?
I allow external ideas. Yeah, I don't care. You know, like I know a lot of traders are ego, and we talked about that a bit. And it's like everything I know is best. I don't want to be that guy. Like, obviously, I'm emotional. I'm passionate about the ideas that I do have, and I am going to push for them. But if someone else has a good idea, who the hell am I to say it's a bad idea, right? I've seen people trade some of the dumbest strategies and just triple accounts. And I just don't get it. But it's like, who am I to say that that's wrong?
Yeah, the market is the final judge.
That's right.
The market is always going to be right. Okay, interesting. So now when you've 15 years in, compared to your earlier days, you've gone from probably the similar journey to everyone, which is one account, one strategy, and now 15 accounts, multiple strategies, and so forth. That journey along the way, what would you say the major lessons were 15 years in?
It's definitely a lot of the psychology, a lot of the emotion. It's just understanding that you are going to lose, right? I lost a lot of trades. I still lose trades. But get yourself to this point, you know, where I am now, where it doesn't matter anymore. You know, I'm trading less and less every year, and I'm sure everyone hates to hear it, but that's what it is. I have my family. I had a goal of making $10 million. I've more than overshot that goal now, so I could be done. You know, I'm building my house. At that point, I could consider a semi-retirement. I could hand more of this over to my analysts, but I'm not going to work as hard as I'm working right now forever, and I am near the end.
Okay. What was the when you set out? I'm sure the goal was just let's make a little bit of money.
Yep.
And then as time went on, I was like, okay, I can make this work into millions, and probably 8 figures was the goal you mentioned. Now that you have passed that goal, which is a significant milestone, and you're doing the trader's dream, which is you have your time freedom, you have your family, you can build your own dream house, all of these things. What continues to motivate you and keep you pushing forward?
The community now. It's only for the community.
Okay.
If I didn't start the YouTube channel, I'd probably just be playing video games 6-8 hours a day, doing a crypto project here or there, doing a long-term trade here or there like I do on Bitcoin now. I think that I've gotten to a point where I don't want to work as much, so I lean more on my analysts. I pay people to look at the technicals, the fundamentals, to help me out. That's a part of the process, and that's important, and I'm going to continue in that direction. Like, I don't see myself, like, I think I'll hit 50 million, right? But it doesn't matter if I do, right? 10 is so far and above. I overshot every expectation I ever had for myself. So I could be done, you know? I have my Porsche. Like I said, I've got the mansion coming 2 years out. We're building it. It's going to be fantastic.
Wow. Talk to me about this mansion, because I haven't come across it on your social media. What is the project?
Yeah, so it's about an acre of land, right? So it's about 15 minutes from where you're staying right now. And we have the courtyard in the middle. And the house itself is about 4,500 square feet. You know, add in the courtyard, it's even bigger. It's got this amazing shape that goes, you know, all the way around the courtyard. Then we have the pool. I'll probably put in the basketball court. You know, I got the 3-car garage for the Porsche. I don't know what the next car is. Maybe we're looking at Rolls-Royce,
boss.
I'm not
like
sure. You know, I keep looking at those Rolls Royce. I see 23-year-olds
You don't see
in
them
Miami
often
with them.
Yeah, you don't see them often in Toronto. When I'm in Dubai, I see them every 2 seconds.
Well, the problem with Toronto is we have luxury taxes here.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. So once your car is over $100,000 or something, they tax you insane on it. I got my Porsche Taycan right before the luxury tax came in, or else I would have had to pay another like $30,000, $20,000. Buying a yacht here was not like it would. The weather sucks anyways, but it would just bend you over. Like, that's what they're doing here. It's tough.
Okay. Well, this is the first thoughts I had when I arrived here was I know about the taxes and I've left because I didn't want to pay taxes. As in I left the UK and that's the primary reason for Dubai, and then it's another topic of why I love Dubai and would choose to stay there despite the taxes. If they introduced taxes, I would stay. But the other thing that for me was here is, okay, despite the tax and maybe the weather, even though right now has been brilliant, is the time. Like the time to trade is so inconvenient. The London session is basically you can't do it, and even making the New York session where you gotta wake up early. Was that the fueling factor for the bots? You wanted a little bit more flexibility in your life.
Well, I actually like having the opportunity to trade the Asian session because the Asian session ranges like crazy. So when I'm using the robot, fantastic, plug it in, you know, and let it go, and then wake up to the profits.
Because you're trading the Asian range, basically. You know, it's not going to move anywhere
Absolutely,
too far. Okay,
yeah.
got it. Interesting. So does that mean here you're building your home, you're building your base, let's say, here is for life. Here's where you want to stay.
Yeah, it really came down to friends, family. That's why I'm here.
The ties you have, your children
because
as
I
well,
would leave. You know, I hate the weather. My wife hates the weather. We don't like the taxes. The politics are a little bit annoying here. I won't get into that because there's a bill coming out that could censor my speech. So, yes, it's a bit spicy in Canada right now.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to get into it either, but I have my opinions. Epic. So, what is like the coming projects? Because the milestones financially, you probably can't spend what you've made, so that's kind of a check. Now it's pursuing other things. You're building your dream house. You got the cars. Everything seems good. What is the next projects, next plans, next milestones?
I don't know. It's like maybe just getting bigger on YouTube, growing the audience, being able to help more people, reach more people. I think that's important to me. But in terms of projects, you know, I get approached to do prop firms all the time. I haven't found an interest in it. I think it's really early in the prop firm field right now, and I think if I do it, people may go, he's another one of these scammers trying to start a prop. But that's just not something I'm going to do right away. There's obviously indicators. I get approached about doing indicators. Yep. I like some of the indicators too, but it's just like, do I want the extra work? At this point in my life, like, I don't need the extra work. You know, my room's doing just fine. The trading is going well. The robot is going well. So I could sit on my hands. I know a lot of the people that come on your podcast would probably choke me for saying that.
I think it's because a lot of the other people have been in their 20s. Whereas because you're older, you're in a different stage in life, and you're not chasing the same way I'm probably chasing because I'm younger. And I think that's a natural process in life.
Fair.
So let's say you're not driven too much by financially anymore, but you're more community orientated, and you mentioned your YouTube channel. What is it about the community and your content that is inspiring to you, or has a drive for you, and not finances anymore like it probably was 10 years ago?
Yeah, I don't know. It's corny, but, you know, you love looking at the subscriber number tick up. You love looking at the comments. Everyone's so nice all the time, you know, like, it is nice to open up your phone and see a bunch of hearts, and that's terrible. I know it's corny as hell, but like that is a big part of what I chase now. And then like the money just happens to be like attached to that. And for someone who, you know, isn't a big fan of the psychology aspects, to see all of that like positive reinforcement is like really helpful to me in my life, in my trading, everything.
Excellent. You also mentioned or touched upon prop firms. So that was not even an idea back when you started out. So you've seen kind of the inception, and then it become what it is, which is everywhere. And there's probably like 200 firms in the time that you've been in the market. So whereas a lot of people have just come in and that's what the norm was. They came into a world of trading where there was prop firms, and that's the primary roots, where it wasn't for me and you when we started. What is your thoughts being on the opportunity of prop firms and the good and the bad? And if you were to start again now with prop firms being so prevalent, how would you approach them?
Well, I think if I started at the beginning, when I first got approached to do a prop firm, I think I would have done it. There was just so much money in it. It's hard to deny what it does for you, what it does for the community. I do believe if you get the right prop firm and you get in there and they actually give you payouts, it's fantastic. But a lot of them aren't giving payouts. A lot of them are just rugging you like a bad crypto project. I've been involved in those too. So there is definitely your positives, your negatives, but all in all, for me, it's very positive because of the millions of people it brought into trading, and I think people should be trading, and so I think for that, it's good.
Okay. And do you use them yourself? Any
No.
prop firms? No. Why
I've
not?
done it. I've done challenges. I've passed challenges. I've done videos on my channel showing me past challenges, actually using fun indicator strategies to do it, because why the hell not? The community used to love those videos with the indicators, so I showed them all the time. And I did pass a challenge multiple times with those, and then I would hand the challenge off to one of my analysts and see what they do with it, where we don't have them anymore.
So it's not something you're chasing or utilizing in one of your account sets? No. Okay. And why not? Why is it not something appealing to you?
Maybe it's just because I was so late to the party that I already have my capital, and I'm not really looking to have these huge accounts with my own capital. So I guess it's possible if I could get like $1 million account with their money, maybe that would feel a lot better, because in my own trading, I'm never going to do like $1 million account. I'll top out at 250. I've had $500,000 accounts, but I don't like to go too high. I don't like to give the broker too much of my money, really. And I love, part of that is because I do love unregulated brokers. I love to trade indices. I like the leverage. I like taking my withdrawals in crypto because I'm a big Bitcoin holder, and also because, maybe I should move to Dubai for tax purposes.
I think you should, man. Okay, awesome. So when it comes to the prop firm idea, I'm sure your community, because you're more targeting to beginner videos, and you want that newer audience. To them, prop firms is everything, and I think rightly so. As long as you can find the right firm that's going to pay you out and is not going to give you weird trading conditions for no reason with a lot of slippage and such forth. And I'm sure they ask you, like, what prop firm can we trust? And we don't have to say names, but what would be your filtration criteria to say, let's go with that firm and not that firm because of certain reasons?
It would be collaboration again. So I would go to my team, and my team tells me, hey, we're using this one. It seems pretty good. I'm getting payouts on this one. And I would say, okay, so, a couple of my analysts actually do use prop firms, and I would say they got a payout from this prop firm. So if you're looking for a prop firm, try them out.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. And so we've covered a lot of things of trading psychology. We've covered the technical. We've covered the bots. We've covered prop firms, community. We've actually touched on a lot of topics.
Yes.
One that I want to get into, which is it might be a bit spicy, but let's give it a shot. I uploaded a podcast at the time of filming just 2 days ago with Raul.
I watched it.
Yes, and to be honest, I think the podcast itself was good. I don't think he said anything wrong. I don't think he said anything weird. I think I also pressed him a bit with tough questions, and he actually gave decent answers. And with other guests, some guests I never even upload because I just feel like the answers they give are just so flimsy. I'm like, well, there's no value here. So he made the cut, and he actually gave value, and I think because he's been in the game for so long, he could. But at the time of filming, there wasn't a certain drama. But the time I uploaded it, a couple months later, there was turmoil that I was not aware of, and that gave a lot of backlash to me, and the backlash was off the basis of a bot, I've gathered.
Yep.
So as the bot expert, seeing someone like Raul, and he's probably not his space, it's probably not his thing, he probably sold a good amount, and I think right now the situation is he sold it, he's made the money, people are angry because it doesn't work, and he's holding on to the money for now, and he's waiting to make a public statement. What is your opinions on that situation? Because right now it's a huge topic, and it blew up my Twitter, and everyone's talking about it.
Well, buyer beware. If you're dealing with a trading robot, they can have a verified MyFXBook account. If they don't have a verified trading account, then why bother? If you go to my robot website, you'll see hundreds of $1,000 verified live trading accounts on my FXBook. I show you in my videos. I take you into the trading server, and you can look at every single one of those accounts. So if you're buying on the reputation of someone who drives a Bugatti, sure, the Miami crowd is the Miami crowd. They have a bad reputation. That's fine. There's a lot of, scams in Miami, right? There's your your opioid clinics, you've got a bunch of Ponzi schemes, and then now you have a bunch of guys in their early 20s driving Bugattis and Lambos. That doesn't mean it's a bad thing, right? But they are going to be viewed in a certain light, and I think when you are putting a certain image out there, people are going to see you as a higher risk of a scam, and you're also going to get a lot more haters, so the comments are going to be filled with those haters, and I don't think those people are a true representation of everyone in the community, and I don't believe in what those people are saying. I do believe that some of those guys in Miami can trade, and I'm not going to attack them or slander them. I think that there are scammers, obviously, in the market, but I actually did watch the podcast, and I thought he did provide value, so I have to agree with you.
Yeah, so the reason there was a backlash was me not being aware of the situation. And, well, the problem is if I had addressed what the situation was, I couldn't have, because it was, when I filmed it, he wasn't selling the EA, I don't think, or the bots. So I couldn't address it correctly, but I am probably going to do a part 2 with him and address the situation. And my job is not to be buddy and give him a platform to just explain, more to be like, I want to be the people's voice and the people that have been affected, but I don't know enough about it. And as the robot guy, what would you have me ask? What do you think I should be asking him?
Okay, let's see the results.
About the situation. Okay.
Let's see the results. That's all you have to do. Let me see the MyFXbook verified results and show me that you're willing to put $300,000 in the bot, $500,000 in the bot. One of the biggest robots on the market right now is charging $2,000 for the robot, and they have deposited $1,000 in their live account they are using to sell it. If that is not a red flag, I don't know what is.
Yeah, I get it. My position when I first uploaded it was, look, I'm just a host. I'm here to have a conversation, and bad people go on podcasts. We've had podcasts with Putin. We've had podcasts with the NFT rug pull of Logan Paul. Like, the podcast is not a platform to say I vouch for him and he's the best and go buy his thing. It's like, let's have a conversation. And the jury is the public. And again, buyer's due diligence. I think that's important. And I think people got caught up in the same way that I did. When the reason I invited him onto the show was because a lot of traders that I know from the US said, yeah, he's a good guy. They vouch, multiple people vouch for him. I've seen he's gone on podcasts before and it was just fine. I saw he had a FTMO certificate of 100K and obviously he has a decent lifestyle. He's constantly posting about trading. So I was like, okay, it's worth a shot to have a conversation, and the backlash was something else. But yeah, I think these kind of things, the industry, everyone faces a scam in this space. I've had a couple, not too many, thankfully, but everyone does. And that doesn't have to be bot related. And I'm sure in 15 years you've seen the broker stuff. Probably there's prop firm scams. There's every kind of scam you've seen. And without going into each one, what would you say is the lens, not just bot related and everything, for a new trader? Just avoid a scam, avoid a fake guru, avoid getting played in the space, just so you can survive. Because if you've got $1,000 in your bank accounts and you want to make trading work and you lose all of that to the scams, you're just going to give up altogether for something that could have been life-changing for you. So the goal is to just survive in the space, to get good enough, have time to get good enough. How would you avoid these pitfalls in the space, which I'm sure you've seen all of them?
I just think don't spend too much money outside of your trading, right? It's that simple, and that's like a really small thing to say, but you don't have to buy 5 courses because now you're like too deep in. Now you're like $5,000 in courses, you're $2,000 in robots, $3,000 in indicators. Now you're $10,000 in. The investment was so much. The best thing about trading is there is no investment, right? You have your laptop, you have a few $100s, you trade it, you win, you grow it. If you spend all $10,000, you're screwed. You're already in such a hole. And what will that do for your psychology too? It's going to make you worse.
Do you think it's important for traders to have a mentor? Maybe not 10 courses, but maybe just 1 or 2 reputable courses. Was that something you use, and was that something you would recommend, to say there's everything on the internet, but it's still worth having a mentor?
Yeah, just join the cult of ICT. No, I'm kidding. But there are definitely good mentors out there. There are good courses out there. But you can go on YouTube. You can go on Baby Pips. You can go on different forums and just learn yourself. Use the basics. Get your key levels mapped out. The key levels matter. Is it going to react on that 4-hour key level? If it does, you probably have a good trade.
Brilliant stuff. Well, Pat, first of all, I want to say, despite what we've said, I think Toronto, Canada is actually amazing. I've enjoyed my time here, and first of all, thank you for coming down. And you mentioned you might come to Dubai, so we might run a part 2. But I just want to say thank you for the opportunity for coming on, and it was a lot of fun. I think we touched on so many topics. I'm sure there's a bunch of value for the audience.
I hope so. Thanks so much for having me. I'll definitely come to Dubai. Make sure that you watch all the way to the end here, right? We got to watch to the end, then I'll come back to Dubai. Give us some views. I'll make sure I send this out to my followers too.
There we go. Thank you, my bro.